Hey, what is going on, everybody? My name is Zach. I'm the CEO of a company named JZB Media, which is a creative digital marketing agency based in Boerne, Texas. The whole purpose of these videos is just to provide insight, tips, tricks, tutorials, whatever you want to call it, as it relates to online marketing, digital marketing, brand strategy, videography, photography, web design. I talk a little bit fast, not going to apologize for that. But the whole purpose of these videos is really just to educate and empower you. Whether you're our client or not, we hope that we are providing value with these tips, tricks, insights, etc. that we're putting out. Today, we are going to talk about a topic. We wrote a blog on this a couple days ago on our website, jzbmedia.com. So if you're a reader, definitely go check out that. That way you can read through what we're going to talk about today rather than listen to me talk. Some people just like consuming content in different ways, which is something that you should consider as a marketer. But the subject that we're talking about today is marketing isn't just about ROI, it's also about your brand presence. And what does that mean? So I had the opportunity to meet with some marketers in my area a couple days ago. And, we mess with each other. We shoot the stuff, and we also see how everybody's doing. And we talk business, though, as well. And in those business talks, we typically say like, well, who's your ideal client? What's working for you right now? What's not working for you? And so each of us was going around the table and just discussing like who our ideal client was at that point in time. And as everybody was going through their lists, I noticed nobody listed any brick locations as their ideal client. Now, what is a brick location? A brick location is a business like a coffee shop or a restaurant or like a clothing boutique or really any business that doesn't have like an online component or a component other than the operation that's in their building right there. While I don't recommend that businesses don't eventually spread into the e-commerce world, some businesses just aren't ready to take that step yet, or there's franchising agreements that prevent them from taking that step. There's a bunch of different variables that could prevent somebody from, say, selling their clothing online or selling their coffee or shipping their coffee, things like that. And so that's what a brick location is. It's a business without an additional component outside of whatever business they do in their physical location. So I asked them, like, well, why don't you guys like any brick locations as your ideal clients? We have a couple of those at JZB Media, and we found that we really like working with those people and increasing their online presence and things like that. And their common answer was because you can't measure ROI for those brick locations. And what does that mean? So ROI is just a financial term for return on investment. It means like, what am I going to get for putting something in? Commonly in the marketing world, like let's say somebody has an online website, experienced marketers can track user behavior on a website and figure out why people are behaving the way that they are, maybe shift their behavior to get them to do the things that they want, things like that. And so you can really track user behavior on a website, which also enables you to get metrics in line, statistics in line in order to present to the client to say, here's what we did this month. Here's kind of the result that played out as, and here's the sales that it produced on your side. And that kind of validates the marketer to the client to say like, I am useful. But that's not the only benefit to the client. Just because you have a business and that's a brick location, just because you can't immediately see ROI from the things that you're doing on your social media platforms doesn't mean that you're not getting a return on investment. I'm going to explain through using an analogy, or not really an analogy, but really talking about a case study of one of my current clients, one of our current clients, I should say. So the client that I'm going to talk about is a coffee location. They are a franchise, and so they are prohibited from selling any product online or operating in that sort of way. All they can do is sell coffee in their coffee shop, or they can also sell merchandise in their coffee shop, but they're strictly limited to sales only in their coffee shop. Sorry, I keep saying that, but I just want to make sure that everybody understands where we're going. When we took on this client, it was about 7 months ago. And at that time, they had about a little under 1,100 followers on various social media platforms. For this analogy, we're only going to talk about Instagram. All platforms are important. They all perform a certain way. They all hit different demographics of people depending on what you're after. But today, we're just going to talk about Instagram. Long story short, over the past 7 months or so, we've grown their following to a little around the 11K range. But for this analogy, or for this study, we're just going to pretend that they have only 10,000 followers exactly. So I'm going to look at my notes here. That's why I'm kind of looking down. But so let's say either yourself or a team like ours, they built your following on Instagram to about 10,000 followers, right? There is this word that we throw around in the marketing industry called engagement. And engagement is the percentage that users engage with your content. And so engagement, users engaging with your content could be like, they could be liking your photos, they could be commenting on them, they could be sharing them. Really any type of input from the user is considered engagement. So that's something that you can measure. You can't measure the exact ROI that it's yielding, but you can kind of guesstimate what's going on, right? And so let's say this coffee shop that we're talking about has 10,000 people, 10,000 people following them. And let's say their engagement is 5%. So that means only 5% of the 10,000 people are regularly engaging with content. So in case you're not familiar, the Instagram algorithm delivers anything that you post, anything that you talk about, only to a small subset of the people who actually follow you. And then it gets kind of complex because the algorithm changes constantly. But that's why engagement rates tend to be, under 15% usually. But for this example, let's say it's only 5%, right? So 5% of 10,000 people, that comes out to about 500 people who are engaging with your content, right? That's not saying that they're coming into your location or into this coffee shop. That's just saying 500 people care about what you have to say on average, right? Now let's say 10 to 20%, which is like 50 to 100 people, come into your business to buy a product. Say in this coffee shop example, it's a $5 cup of coffee. At scale, that's $250 to $500 in a day, or $7,500 to $15,000 in a month, or $90,000 to $180,000 in a year, right? Just from 5% engagement, right? And again, that's not something that you can immediately measure. You can't measure, this person liked my photo, and then we tracked their phone to our store, and then we tracked their bank account and they made a purchase, right? We can't track that kind of thing. But we know, based on user behavior, based on like previous predictions, that a certain amount of the people who engage with your content are regularly visiting your location. And so that is just kind of an example of something to think about other than immediate ROI, right? Immediate measurement of marketing. Your brand is something that you really need to pay attention to. You need to make sure that you are out there everywhere. And you need to realize, as you're building your brand, a return on investment, while it's important, is not going to be the only important thing that you need to consider. You also need to consider your brand presence. Everywhere your brand is seen, the people engaging with it, the way that you are perceived by everybody. So there's this really great quote. We actually have it listed at the bottom of our website. We kind of change our quotes throughout the course of the month. Networking is who you know, influence is who knows you, right? And so with that, the amount of influence that you have is just the amount of people who know you, who think of you, who are considering you, who have a positive impression of you. And that's all, you all have the control, or you all have the ability to control people who you influence by building a strong social media presence. Yeah, so that's all I wanted to talk about today is just that there's more to marketing than just ROI. And only thinking about ROI is kind of an old school way to think. That frame of thinking is kind of from the days when TV was the only real place that you could advertise if you wanted to be seen. And now it's not that way. It's not where the eyes are. When you're driving down the highway, you very rarely look to the left and right to look at billboards. A lot of times you are illegally looking at your phone as you're flying down the highway. And that just goes to show that the eyes are on these different social media platforms. But yeah, I hope this was straightforward, easy to understand. If not, I'm happy to expand on any questions in the comments below. So wherever this is posted, just comment a question and I'm happy to answer it there. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day or night, depending on when you're seeing this. Bye.